Dava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Janavalabha Girivaradari Jashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Vishwapad Brahmahamsa Parijagacharya Sutara Shabda Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Vishwapad Brahmahamsa Parijagacharya Sutara Shabda Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Granth Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 17. The Lord agrees to become Aditi's son. Verse 2 and 3. Chintayanti ekaya buddhya Mahapurushamishwaram Pragrihyendriya dushtaswan Manasa buddhisarathi Manaschaikagraya buddhya Bhagavati akhilatmani Vasudeve samadhaya Chacharaha payovratam Chintayanti ekaya buddhya Mahapurushameshwaram Pragrihyendriya dushtaswan Manasa buddhisarathi Manaschaikagraya buddhya Bhagavati akhilatmani Vasudeve samadhaya Chacharaha payovratam. Word to word translation. Chintayanti, constantly thinking. Ekaya, with one attention. Buddhaya, and intelligence. Mahapurusham, upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishwaram, the Supreme Controller, Lord Vishnu. Pragrihya, completely controlling. Indriya, the senses. Dushta, formidable, powerful. Ashwan, horses. Manasa, by the mind. Buddhisarathi, with the help of intelligence. The chariot driver. Manaha, the mind. Cha, also. Eka agraya, with full attention. Buddhaya, with the intelligence. Bhagavati, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Akhila Atmani, the Supreme Soul, the Super Soul of all living entities. Vasudeve, unto Lord Vasudeva. Samadhaya, keeping full attention. Chachara, executed. Ha, thus. Payavratam, the ritualistic ceremony known as Payavrata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Swami Prabhupada. Translation. With full and undiverted attention, Aditi thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in this way brought under full control her mind and senses, which resembled forceful horses. She concentrated her mind upon the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Thus, she performed the ritualistic ceremony known as Payavrata. Purport. This is the process of Bhakti Yoga. Anya bilachita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. One simply has to concentrate upon the lotus feet of Vasudeva, Krishna. Savai mana Krishna padar vindayo. Then the mind and senses will be controlled, and one can engage himself fully in the devotional service of the Lord. The devotee does not need to practice the Hatha Yoga system to control the mind and senses. His mind and senses are automatically controlled because of unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-jana shalakaya Chakshurun militam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing this section, and a beautiful verse here where Aditi is performing the sacrifice, the austerity of Payavrata under the recommendation of Kashyapa Muni. And in this section is explained about how Aditi's austerities, which was fully focused on the Supreme Lord. And in that way she brought her mind and senses under full control. So this is, this is what people talk about these days, about how to control the mind. Because our mind can be the biggest enemy or the biggest friend, depending on whether we have controlled it or not, as the Bhagavad Gita explains it. So for most of the people, practically for all the people in this world, their mind is completely out of their control. All the desires and all the unfulfilled desires, all the goals, all the ambitions are just driving them from one part of the world to the other part of the world, from one job to another job, so much money, spending money, from one end of the shopping mall to the other end of the shopping mall. They're rushing all the time. Because the mind is just driving them crazy, They're thinking that, oh, maybe I should get that. If I wear that, I'll look nice. Maybe if I don't get that, then I'll not be satisfied. Or I need to be there before the sale runs out. So the mind is constantly keeping them busy and constantly making them work. And they have to work very hard to try to satisfy the mind. And this rascal mind is never satisfied after so much of effort and so much of money and so much of time spent on it. So that's everyone's question nowadays, is that this mind is creating so many problems. Even when you're not doing anything, even if you're just sitting down in one place, still mind is creating so many problems, right? Still we are thinking about so many things that we shouldn't be, and so much of lamentation for the past and hankering for the future, and that way mind is constantly creating problems. So therefore now people can see, and that therefore we can see in the society now so many people, they are actually becoming open to mindfulness, they're becoming open to some kind of meditation, they're open to some kind of yoga, because they know that these things actually help in slowing down the mind, in quietening the mind. The problem though is that the heart is not transformed. So the mind becomes a little bit peaceful, at least for the duration of the meditation or the meditation practice. But as soon as they come out of the meditation, then it's the same person again. So all the desires again surface, all the pushes of the mind again comes out. And so therefore, there is some solace, is some band-aid work, some patchwork is there, but it doesn't really fix individuals' problems. So that's why when we are distributing Bhagavad Gitas, we tell them that this is book on mindfulness, this is book on meditation. But this is actually the book on meditation that will solve the problem of uncontrolled mind. So here Prabhupada is explaining the process, and here we can see Aditi following this process. What is the process of meditation? Is that process of meditation is that Aditi thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with full attention, with full undiverted attention. And in that way, she brought her mind and sense fully under her control. So this is really the process. The real process is if we can somehow or other bring our mind under the control we learn to fully focus on the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada explains the process of what does that mean? That we fully concentrate upon Vasudeva, upon Krishna. How do we do that? The process is Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo. Correct? Who was the king who said this verse? Savai Mana Pada Krishna Padaravindayo Vasamsi. Who is that? Maharaj Ambrish, yes? Ambrish Maharaj. He fully utilized all his mind and senses in serving Supreme Lord. And by that service, he completely brought his mind under his control. So that is the process for us. So now we are doing the book distribution marathon. So everyone, we have lots of devotees. We have actually almost 3 times more devotees than what we had last time who are actually participating. 3, maybe more than even 3 times. So a lot of devotees are participating, a lot of devotees are distributing books. And we have lots and lot of books. So now all these devotees, they're thinking, how can we distribute books? How can we, there's so many books in the storage is bursting out, and then we also have so many pallets sitting outside, and everyone can see there's so many books there. So now they're thinking, how can we get these books? Somehow, how we can distribute these books? So we are making plans. So all our senses now we have to utilize in Krishna's service. Somehow we have to get these books out. So so you can use your hands, giving the books to people. You can use your legs to walk around and give these books. You can utilize all your speech. You can utilize to say something about Bhagavad Gita to people. In that way, we can utilize all our senses. We can think. We can utilize our mind, our mental capacity to think about how we can distribute. How can we distribute more books? Correct? So somehow or other we have to think. So it requires a lot of thinking. It requires a lot of planning, a lot of strategizing. Devotees who are able to do lots of books, devotees who are able to distribute a lot of books, they spend a considerable amount of time in planning. Where will they distribute? How they will distribute? The logistics of it. Because it's not easy. So we have to plan. We have to plan. How will we give? We have to think. Even if we want to give one book, if you have never given the books, and if you want to give one or two books, then you have to think, whom am I going to give it to? You have to search through your contact list, to scroll. It's a long scroll is required to find out whom I can give the books to, whom I can give the Bhagavatam set to, to call them up, follow them up, get the Lakshmi. So it's a lot of process. So there is a lot of thinking required. So in that way, when we are thinking about how we can distribute books, how can we share this Krishna consciousness with others, then we are fully engaged, and then our mind and senses are fully under control. Then our mind and senses are not disturbing us. Otherwise, usually walking around in the shopping mall, then we can see, oh, there's 20% sale, there's 50% sale, there's 70% sale, and so immediately, okay, what clothes are there, what colors are there, what shoes are there, then we immediately attracted, and we feel like, okay, maybe I should also get it. And that way we're constantly bombarded by all these different attractions, by how people are dressed, how people are looking, and we are attracted to all those sensory enjoyment. But then as soon as we have the book in our hand, then all of a sudden now we are thinking, how can I give this book to someone? So even if we end up not distributing it, just the fact that we have it in our hand, the consciousness will change. That we'll all of a sudden start thinking of how we can somehow or other preach, somehow how we can give these books. And what also happens for a lot of us is that we start praying. And we really pray to Krishna, Krishna, please help. I really want to distribute these books. Because it's not easy. In temple, everyone is very, a lot of devotees can give you a lot of respect for whatever you are, for whatever you do. But then as soon as you go out, people don't care who you are. People don't care how much you know. People don't care what your varna and ashram is. They just look at you and they just say, oh yeah, again you Hare Krishnas are bothering us. You're giving us these books again. So many people have asked us, again you want us. We already took one book, you again want another book. Want us to take another book. So in that way, there's a lot of rejections. There's a lot of complications that we have to deal with. So we have to pray, and we have to pray really hard. So we really learn to beg. We really learn to pray to Krishna. So I can see in 2 weeks of my marathon that my intensity to pray has increased. Praying more and more. Krishna, please help. As soon as we go, not even before reaching the streets, even before going out, we are praying, Krishna, please give the strength. So scared of getting the rejections, so scared of facing the people. Again, they will say whatever they want to say. Again, they will not respect me. Again, they will not respect these books. They can, sometimes some people can be really very rude and they can tell us off. So we are really praying, and in that way, our mind and senses are fully engaged in one thing, and that one thing is Krishna. So, at the end of the day, when we try such a distribution, such book distribution, when our full day was engaged, right from the morning, when we were thinking about where will I distribute, whom will I distribute to, and when we were praying, Krishna, Krishna, please send some sincere souls, Krishna, please help me distribute these books, and then finally you actually do end up distributing books, then at the end of the day you are very happy, you are very satisfied. Even if you distribute some books, even if you distribute a lot of books, there's some satisfaction, there's some peace of mind that, okay, at least I did something. And in that way, you also feel satisfied because we are thinking about Krishna the whole time. So it's very, very satisfying, it's very, very peaceful. And this is the process, is explained in Nectar Devotion by Rupa Goswami. And here it is explained that Anya Vilashita Shunyam, a very, very powerful verse that explains the process of Bhakti Yoga. And it explains what is the process, is that we have to serve Krishna. So we have to focus on Krishna. That one thing can only be Krishna. Focusing our mind and senses, we cannot have that Krishna replaced with anything else. You know, that Krishna, if you try to replace it to any other demigods, if you try to replace it with any other activity, even our family members, our own selves, if you replace that with anyone else other than Krishna, then there is no satisfaction. And it's not a devotional service. So here, the pure devotional service explained that focus has to be on Krishna, and that focus has to be favorable, that it has to be in the mood of service, that I want to serve Krishna. Because many demons also thought of Krishna, and they were really intensely thinking of Krishna, but their thought was, how can I kill Krishna? How can I get Krishna out of the way so that I can become God, I can become the Supreme? So that kind of service will not classify as the pure devotion service, and that kind of service will not satisfy a person. And the third is without any material desires, without any desire for fruitive activities. So even if we are thinking of Krishna, and if we are thinking on doing service to him favorably, but if we are thinking for material profit, for some material gain, for our own gain, then again that is also not a proper service. So that is not pure devotion service. So these three has to be met. Now we can see in the book distribution, we have there is a lot of competition, and devotees are really striving. So you can see, when the devotees can see in the list, they see all the devotees listed, some 100, 150 devotees, and more devotees will participate. And they can see. So now our first goal is that somehow or other we have to get into the list. Correct? It's just like a cricket or soccer team. You know, it's whoever is in the list is the winner. So we have to get into the list. So somehow we have to distribute some books, and we have to get into the list. But now, once we are in the list, then the next challenge is, now we can see that there are other people who are doing better than us. And there is this competition in book distribution, and we can see how devotees are really competing. And actually Prabhupada wanted devotees to compete. Prabhupada would ask for the scores, and he would ask for who is distributed how much, how many books, and when he would encourage, he would say, he would tell each other. Actually Prabhupada had a very genius way of increasing the competition. He would tell other devotees, that, oh, such and such devotee and such and such teams have distributed so many books. He said, that's very good actually. So the devotees will hear other devotees' scores, and then they will get inspired. Okay, if they are distributing so many, then I will distribute even more. I think one time Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he was leading the Radha Damodar bus party, and there was airport Sankirtan party, I think, yeah. And they both were competing neck to neck. And when airport Sankirtan party, then when they had distributed so many books, and then Prabhupada told, actually Rameshwar Prabhu told Tamal Krishna Maharaj, that these devotees have ordered such a big set of books, big number of books, and they are actually going to distribute many, many books. Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, whatever they're distributing, he said, we'll distribute how many times? 2 times to 3 times more. Something like that. So they just said, okay, whatever they're distributing, he said, just add, just double that, and we will distribute that many books without even knowing the numbers. So that's how much they were inspired. So yes, there are definitely competitions, even in devotees. But that competition has to be done in the mood of pleasing Krishna. That mood has to be there. Otherwise, the competition becomes very material, very mundane, and there is no real Krishna in the equation. Because then, if we just get into thinking that, I want to somehow distribute more books, that competition is good. Competition of thinking that, okay, I want to distribute more than the other person, that is very good. But then thinking of pulling other person down, that is material. So somehow or other, in the spiritual world, the consciousness is that that person is doing so much service, let me do more than that person. How can I do even more service and get Krishna's attention? Then that is spiritual. But material consciousness is, okay, I'm at the top. Now, is anyone coming to the top? Then I'll pull him down. Okay, if someone is at the top, I'm not at the top, then I'll pull that person down so I can get at the top. And that is very mundane, that is very material. So such kind of consciousness is definitely not a devotional consciousness. And definitely not a pure devotional consciousness. So somehow or other we want to support other devotees, their service, their distribution. So we should all try to help and support each other in their service and their distribution, while we try to plan on how we can increase our distribution, how we can increase our service. So with that spiritual mindset, if we can focus on serving Krishna, then the atmosphere, Prabhupada used to say, that's a Vaikuntha atmosphere, where everyone is engaged. So right now we can see that atmosphere in the temple, and that is building up more and more, that we have distributed so many books, and so many devotees are participating. And so many books are going out. So that atmosphere we can see this building up, and now everyone is thinking, how can we distribute? How so many devotees are distributing, so many of my friends are distributing, so many devotees are distributing, so how can I also distribute some books? And everyone is thinking like that. So that is very nice, it's a very nice atmosphere, because then there is no thinking of, this is me and this is mine, I, me and mine mentality. That disappears, and we start to think about how we can expand our service. So, yeah, let's work together and let's try to increase our distribution, and let's try to support other devotees and their distribution. And we have so many different services with book distribution. There's so many ways how we can distribute this knowledge, because people actually need it. We're meeting so many people on the streets, and so many people are coming to us and they're saying that, oh, really, this is Bhagavad Gita? He said, I've been looking for it. I've been looking for a copy. And these are not just people from India or Nepal, but these are people from all parts of the world. Yesterday I met, I stopped one Brazilian lady, and I started explaining to her, I just showed her the Bhagavad Gita, and I was going to explain to her what the Bhagavad Gita is about. And she started telling me, he said, no, actually I already know Bhagavad Gita. He said, I know Bhagavad Gita. He said, actually, I'm studying yoga. I'm doing yoga. And my yoga teacher talks a lot about Bhagavad Gita. So he said, I really know Bhagavad Gita, and I've read parts of it, and I'm really keen to read the full book. And it looks like a very nice book. So while we are having the conversation, this third person comes in, and an Aussie person, and he looks at the Bhagavad Gita and he looks at me and he's not sure because he saw me distributing books. And so he was wondering, what are you doing? So I said, what are you doing? What are you giving? So while we are having, me and this lady is having this conversation, this guy just jumps in and he says, what are you doing? What is this book about? And so the Brazilian lady, she gave a full pitch about what the Bhagavad Gita is about, why he should read it, that she has read it, that she has got so much benefit out of it. This is actually one of the very good books. If he thinks that he wants to really make some spiritual progress in his life, then he should read Bhagavad Gita. And so she was like fully convinced, she was explaining like she's a devotee, And this person, he was saying, no, he said, I'm actually completely opposite. He said, I am, for me, he said, the spirituality doesn't really exist. I believe that we are just the molecules, we are just the chemicals, and when we are dead, we are finished. That's it. It's the end of it. And this lady was preaching to him. No, it's not like that. Where did she get all this knowledge? She said, I learned everything from Bhagavad Gita. It's not like that. He said, you are the spirit soul, you have no beginning, no end, you continue like that. And she was speaking like this. And she was so convinced that this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita is so valuable. He said, and she was really trying her best to give him the book. And then later, I think she was even ready to pay for him so he could take a book. That really shows that that people who read these books, their heart get transformed. We also shared this video of this person who got the Bhagavad Gita and he read the Bhagavad Gita, an Irish man, old man, and he read the whole Bhagavad Gita and he was actually so impressed, and he was saying, yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and yes, serving Krishna is the best activity that we can do in our life. And he was so convinced just by reading the Bhagavad Gita. We can give them hours of lectures to these people, and then they will say, oh, that's your opinion. So after so much of explanation, we tell so much time, we spend so much of logic and thinking and philosophy and everything. At the end, everything after a whole explanation, they'll say, oh, that is just your belief. I believe in something else. But then they take the Bhagavad Gita, they read it, and the authority with which Prabhupada speaks, the purity and the compassion with which Prabhupada speaks, then all of a sudden their heart gets transformed. And they actually feel that, oh yes, actually Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they actually become inspired. And we have met so many people like that. And even this time when we are distributing books, we met so many people who were convinced that I need to read this Bhagavad Gita for my spiritual progress. So yes, there is a great need in society, and we definitely need to try our best to share with people. Of course, not everyone is interested, but there are at least a few people who are interested, and there's only one way to find out, by going and asking them. So we can go and ask them, that, do you have a book on meditation? Do you like to read books? Do you would you read? Would you be open to reading books like this? And actually many people are interested, and many people are taking the books, and we can see how thousands and thousands of books are going every day. And we know for sure that these people will eventually pick up and read them. One lady, she when I was in the car park and I was distributing books, and I stopped her, and she got so scared. And then she said, because I had a full trolley loaded with whatever it is inside, she doesn't know. And there's a car park, it's undercover, it's dark, and a brown guy coming to her, she's scared, what's happening here, like, what are you trying to do? And they gave her the book, and she's like, that's not a bomb, right? She's so scared, actually. But of course, these books are, what Prabhupada said, they're the transcendental time bombs. They're ticking. And eventually, when the people read them, after some time, then they will actually understand that the whole material life the full existence is just so much focused on I, me and mine, and that's not really satisfying me. And actually the real goal of life is to serve Krishna. So yes, very, very special service, very rewarding service. And if we can somehow or other, we have another 16 days. So that's exactly, we are halfway through the marathon. So if we can somehow or other focus our minds, our body and senses in serving Krishna by sharing this transcendental literature with all the world's population, then our consciousness will be same as Aditi here. Full and undiverted attention, thinking of the Supreme Lord, and in that way bringing the mind and senses under full control. So let's pray together and let's try together and try and distribute these books to many living entities. With that we finish. Thank you so much. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. If anyone has any questions or comments or corrections, yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for the inspiring class, Prabhu. This marathon, is there any things that you'd like to share that have been working for you this marathon, or any realizations that can help us so we can distribute more books?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, there's two realizations, two things that I've been meditating on and been working on. One is that I've been really praying. I've been actually praying a lot because the more we do, the more we realize that we are not the doers, and that is actually Krishna is making it happen through us. So really, really praying, really begging Krishna. I was hearing this one devotee give that example, that one time he was in a train station and he was going to catch a train in India from one place to another. And just as sometimes it can happen in India that the trains are late. And so the train was late for 6 or 7 hours. And so this devotee was stranded there. He had nowhere to go. He had to just wait in the platform for 6 or 7 hours. And then there were some beggars. And these beggars in the train station, they started begging him, give some money. So this devotee said, no money, go away. So these beggars, they had nowhere to go. And they were in no rush. So they kept begging. They kept begging for 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. And the devotee said, I'm not going to give you anything, just go from here. These beggars kept begging for 4 hours. They were just not leaving him. And then finally this devotee got so tired and sick of them. He said, these people are not going to leave me. He said, okay, here is some money, go. Just let me sit here peacefully. No? And then when they finally got the money, then okay, thank you. And they left. So the devotee was giving that example, that this is a real begging. This is real begging. So this is how we need to beg. This is how we need to beg to Krishna. That Krishna, please, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Panchatattva, please bless me. Please bless me. Please give me the empowerment, give me the strength, so I can distribute these books with right consciousness, with right attitude. And please send me some sincere souls who I can give these books to. So we're really begging and praying and praying and praying and praying. And actually we can see that the consciousness actually becomes very Krishna conscious, and we really start thinking about Krishna. We don't need to beg so much when we are chopping vegetables in the kitchen, or when we are, doing any other service, generally speaking. But this nature of this book distribution is that it really makes us pray, it makes us beg. So that's one thing that I've been working on. Another one is somehow or other trying to develop the attitude where I'm trying to support devotees in their distribution. and somehow trying to help them so that they can expand in their distribution. And that's quite a nice service, because there is one way which I have always done, is that how can I increase my distribution and how can I do more distribution than anyone else. But this marathon, I'm trying to be a little bit more conscious of how can I support other devotees and their distribution, and how can I help them expand their service. And that's very rewarding. It's very, very rewarding, and it's very satisfying to see how other devotees are doing better than what they have in the past. So, and somehow or other, in the process of that, I'm still able to distribute about the same number of books as I used to. So, although I'm not putting as much effort, although I'm not putting as much time or energy, I'm still distributing about the same number of books. But it's a lot more satisfying because I'm able to see other devotees expand their distribution. So that's another thing that I've been meditating on, is how can I help other devotees in their service. So, thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, you mentioned how devotees who distribute a lot of books, they start planning beforehand where to go, how to do the books. But sometimes the planning that we do in advance can sometimes interfere with our bhakti, like in chanting. We may just be thinking about the planning instead of thinking of Krishna. So would that be categorized as bhakti? And also, sometimes, would that be categorized as bhakti?
Yes, a transcendental anxiety. That the best chanting is, of course, when we are only thinking about Krishna, and when we are actually, Prabhupada made it very simple for us. The chanting means you speak the mantra and you listen to the mantra. Where is the question of mind? Where is the question of thinking? So that's the best chanting, and that's what we want ideally. And planning can be before or after. But just because the whole day we are spending in book distribution, and we are constantly thinking where will we go next, how will we work out, how will we plan everything. So it's very hard to not think about it while we're chanting. But I was watching and observing some of the devotees and they're chanting, is that while they're chanting, they're missing so many ramas from the mantra. And they're missing few hares from the mantra. It's like Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. It's like there's no Ram, or there's no, it's like few syllables are missing from the mantra. It's like half mantra, because he's planning about where am I going to go for book distribution. That's definitely not justifiable. So I think the most important thing is that we should be able to hear all the syllables, and we should be able to speak all the syllables clearly. We should be able to listen to them clearly. If that is not happening, actually, in some ways, we are going in the wrong direction. So our first and foremost thing is chanting, and we have to understand that it's the chanting which will empower us to serve and expand our service. So we have to really, it's almost like on days like these is when our chanting needs to improve than what it normally is. So we need to really chant very attentively, and all the devotees who have been distributing for many years and many decades now, they say that morning time, chanting time, is when we are really praying to Krishna. We're really praying to Krishna that Krishna, please help us, please empower us, please show us how we should distribute, where we should distribute. But they're really praying and they're really begging. So that chanting is a very deep chanting in that way. So we want to deepen our process and our consciousness, and we can utilize chanting as that opportunity, as the time when we can do that. Because during the day then we can be caught up in the numbers and Lakshmi and locations and people around us, and if you're security and so many things to worry about. But during the chanting, as much as possible, if we can chant the syllables clearly so we can listen to it, that's very important. And try to keep it as simple as we can, that'll be really good. Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah, we have our plans and Krishna has his plans. There's so many times, and this is actually amazing. Because we are trying to serve Krishna, we have to plan. So there is no, Vaisheshika Prabhu says, fail to plan to fail. What is it? Fail to plan to fail. Fail to plan to fail. If you don't plan, then definitely it's a fail. That's a fail. So we have to plan, we have to properly plan. But after all the planning and after all the calculations, still things do go against our will. But because our planning was for Krishna service, and because our service is also, if it is directly for the pleasure of Krishna, then Krishna can make arrangements such that the right things will happen. I remember one time, I had a full plan of how I'm going to distribute books, where I'm going to go, the hours, locations, everything. Because when we are traveling for book distribution, it's not like there are a lot of people we can distribute to. Sometimes you can see in a shopping street, you can see an end-to-end vision. There's only one person. So you have to give book to that one person, because if that person doesn't take, who will you give to? So we are planning like that. So, okay, this time these people will be here, then the city will completely die out, then we have to go there, then we'll distribute there. Everything had worked out. And then I went into the city and I started distributing books in one particular town. And nobody was taking the books. And there's hardly any people there. And I'm thinking that, I was really aiming to distribute a lot of books on that day. I said, how will I distribute books, because there's nobody's there, and those who are there are not taking any books. So I had everything worked out, and now nothing is going to work out, because everything is going to change now. So I'm trying and trying, and I'm praying and I'm trying. And then I think there was one couple or the one chunky person, I can't remember. One person, he just walked past and I tried to give him the book. He said, no, I don't want any book, I said, okay, sure. So I was going to move on and said, and anyway, what are you doing here? What are you doing? He said, I know I'm giving these books. He said, no, don't do it here. He said, it's a waste of time doing books here. He said, you should go there. And he gave me a location or the place where I should go for distribution. I said, but now, I had planned for going there, but not now, because now nothing will go there, He said, no, go there, I said, why are you distributing here? I said, okay, maybe this is Krishna saying, But anyway, nothing is happening here, so I can try. So then I went to that location where this guy recommended, and all of a sudden books just started flying out of the trolley. And in 1 hour or 1 or 2 hours, I did 40, 50 books. It's just so quickly, these books are just constantly going. I said, okay, this is Krishna's plan, And so many times it has happened that I planned and I had a proper calculations, but then it wasn't working out, and then someone would come along and tell, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Why don't you go there? It's it's none of his business what I'm doing and where I should distribute. But of course, Krishna is saying through this person that where should I distribute or how I should distribute. One time, one person walked past me, and I tried to stop him, and he didn't stop, and he walked away. And then he walked away, and then he kind of reversed himself back, and he came to me and told me, he said, you know what? He said, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to give these books. He said, if you're trying to stop me, okay. So he said, okay, let's do a role play here. This is on the street. Let's do a role play. So if I'm walking, and if you say, excuse me, I asked him some question, can't remember. If you ask me this question, he said, you just asked me this question. If you ask me this question, I will say yes or I will say no, and then I'll walk away. But in either case, I don't need to think too much, and you don't really get to stop me. So if you ask me a question like these, or like these, or like this, and you give me like 3-4 questions, if you ask me these questions, then I'll have to stop and I'll have to think about it. And that's what you need, right? You need me to stop so you can give me a book. So you should ask me these questions, then I'll stop for you, then you'll give me the book, then I'll give you the donation. And he said, anyway, I'm not interested in book, but I just thought I'll let you know, and he just left. And then I literally started repeating what he taught me, and the book started going. So we have our plans, but and we should plan, but it can happen that our plans won't work out. But if our desire is sincere that we're trying to serve Krishna, then Krishna can send people, and Krishna can send all these amazing things can happen, in the book distribution. So all these Krishna miracles, all these magics in book distributions happen, and you really get to see that Krishna is with you. Prabhupada is with you, and he's really directing us and navigating our journey. So we can serve them. So yeah. So is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry? No, I can't remember the exact questions. He basically, actually, he asked me the questions like, you can ask them, are you from here or are you visiting? I think that was one of the questions he asked me. What are some of the other questions he told me? I can't remember. But it was basically, the point was that ask a question that is not yes and no answer. So ask a question that they have to stop and think. So like, are you from here or do you just come for shopping? And then they say, oh, just come for shopping. So that requires them to think like, oh, no, just come. Or no, I live here. And it's so out of the blue question also that they have to really think about it to tell. Are you guys friends or family? And then, family. Oh, friends. Or, there's questions like that. I can't even remember, this was a long time ago. But that's the point. 2 different times, 2 people have stopped and they have told me the same thing. So, yeah. So we have to come up with some creative questions like that. Are you a student? Are you working? There's another one. Yeah. Are you from here or are you from there? And then they look here and they look there. And what? From where? Just get them thinking, and then you give them a book. That's it. Okay? Yes, Madhuri.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, thank you for the nice class. Prabhuji, my question is, many times our mind think that, okay, because we are doing some service in the temple and at home, it is okay to do little less service in terms of book distribution. So how to control mind when these kind of thoughts are coming?
I think the first thing is that if we have a good sadhana, if we have good spiritual practice, then we will be inspired to share it with others. So that part is definitely there. If you have read the books, if you have read Prabhupada books, and if that books have actually helped you in some ways, then it can also help other people. So if it has helped you, then you cannot help but be inspired to share it with others. If you like something, anything in this life, if you like something, then you would want others to also experience that. If we visit a nice place, then you say, oh, that was a nice place. If you're going in that direction, you should definitely check that out. So we would, this is a nice food, or this is a nice restaurant, we would recommend back in the days. Oh, Greenzilla is really good, we should go for it. I've been there, the pizzas are amazing, you should go and check it out. You should definitely try that. Oh no, next time try that flavor. We will recommend it because I tried it and I really liked it. You should also try, you also might like it. So if you liked the books for yourself, if it actually helped you, if it actually guided you, then how can you not want to share others? how would you not be inspired to share with anyone else? The only reason is if you haven't read them yourself. That's the only reason why you wouldn't be inspired. But if you have read them, then you'll definitely be inspired. If you chanted Hare Krishna, and if you actually found some joys, if you found some satisfaction, then you would want someone else to also chant, isn't it? Why would you enjoy that and why would you keep that to yourself? So naturally, those devotees, that's why those devotees who are happy devotees are also going out and distributing to others. Those who are themselves not satisfied, then they would not be inspired to share it with anyone else. So that is one thing, is that if we have a good spiritual practice, then we will definitely do it. That is one part of it. Second part is that we need to actually take the trouble to go out of our way, out of our own shell, out of our own bubble, to actually share with others, because it's not easy. It's not easy from many point of view. It's not easy because we might have a lot of our own activities, whether it's the family activities are there, household activities are there, work is there, our own education things may be there. So with all that priorities, with all the time, financial, whatever, it's hard to get out. Then again, we know that after all that trouble, if we somehow go and get out, people might not, take the books. What will happen if this happens or that happens? So, so that's why Vaisheshika Prabhu's one of the mantras is, go and touch the pavement. He said, go out. He said, if you can't do anything, take a book in your hand, go on the street, and touch your hand to the street and touch your head. Okay, at least I touched the pavement, at least I reached on the street. So at least that much you can do. Take a book and just go out. Go somewhere. Go find your nearest shopping street, shopping mall, car park. Just at least go there and at least see what's happening, And then if you don't want to do, then come back. But at least till there you should go. And then eventually you should get some courage and you should try and distribute some books. And the last thing is that we should try to pair up with some other devotees. Find out devotees who are distributing books. Every day we're reading out the scores. We can see so many devotees. You will hear the names of all the devotees who are distributing books. So we need to pair up with someone. You can call up the devotees. Okay, you distributed books yesterday. When are you going next? Can I join you? Work out the logistics. Go with them. And that will make your distribution very, very easy. So there's a couple of tips. Okay? Okay, thank you very much. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Book distribution marathon ki jai.
Sundarangam Kanda